Jesus. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Winters. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of both January 17th and the 25th?
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And is there a motion to approve our claims?
Oh.
Are your buttons working?
No. I'm clicking motion, but it's not. It won't highlight that one. Yeah. Yes.
No, maybe it's working.
Well,
Nope.
I don't know if we got number one voted on or not.
Or do you want to vote?
I can. I'll move it. It doesn't accept mine either, though.
Do you want us to just do it verbally? Okay. I think she wants us to just.
Going to do old school.
Yeah. Okay. Miles.
Okay. All right. All in favor of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, is there a motion to approve the claims?
I want to make sure. I know there was an item to transfer shine equipment from the county to court services, and it needs to be pulled out. Oh, okay. I'll move we approve our claims.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And is there any change to the blanket? No change. Is there a motion to approve the blanket?
I'll move approval on item 3.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chantel?
Item 4 and 5 are recommendations for award. Item 4 is for ARPA project 066 for emergency management pagers. We received 4 bids for these pagers. We were working with the emergency management department. The brand was Unication, and so there were only 3 authorized dealers out of the 4 bids. And upon final evaluation, I am recommending to the low vendor, KCOM Inc., who has an office out of Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I'll move approval of the recommendation of Ms. Boso.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 5 is also an ARPA-related project. This is for telemental health services for a juvenile justice center. Out of an abundance of process, we went ahead and solicited for qualifications based. For those that provide telemental health, only 2 responses were received from Turnkey Health and True Care 24 Inc. Both providers came in and we had interviews with the juvenile office and our purchasing office, and they are recommending award to Turnkey Health for those services.
And is Hannah here?
Mhm.
I just want to comment that I know you visited, was it Little Rock? to see how Turnkey implements their mental health services in the juvenile unit there. Do you want, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to say something if you wanted to.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. And I'd also like to clarify, it's just for mental health and for tele-mental health. We still have our own medical in-house staff. So this is not for medical services. It is just for tele-mental health, where our kids can have access to mental health providers 24 hours a day, and they can help us with the transition from them being in-house to outside of the facility and help kind of implement their program and help us with that. We went to Little Rock. We're very impressed there. They have implemented the mental health in their juvenile facility there. And while theirs is a lot smaller than ours, we were able to see it both in the juvenile and adult sector and how they had grown the mental health program specifically from 3 employees to 11 just in that facility. So we were just really impressed with their mental health services there. And we're excited to go forward with contract negotiations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Washington?
Whoa, stop everything. Turnkey is nothing but a murderous, slanderous medical agency, and I don't care what anybody thinks. This people is responsible for murdering my nephew in Norman, Oklahoma. Marconia Kissy drug him from the hospital to a county jail where he died at, in the same facility, in the same control and management of the same facilities that we're talking. I'm not going to hold you long. Thank you, sir. Just one more minute. These people need to be investigated for allowing people to die in their care. So I just wanted to say that, no, if anybody but Turnkey, I definitely would vote for it because I haven't had any experience nor any bad experiences or thought or told obligations regarding this other one. So let's not let this murderous, slanderous, no good Turnkey have anything but hell if necessary.
All right, did we vote on item 4?
I don't believe so.
Okay, on item,
Oh, I think we voted on item 4, but not 5.
Correct.
is that what you show, Sharon? Yeah, let's do that on item 4 again, please.
Okay, I'll move approval of the recommendation of the purchasing office on item 4.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now item 5.
And I'll also move the recommendation of the purchasing office on item 5.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, before we go any further, we have citizens to be heard. I'm not sure which items, so Mr. Washington.
First of all, let me come appropriately. Greetings, this wonderful, harsh, illustrious guest, and to everybody out here in the city. That's right, Michael Washington don't bite his tongue, but anybody that we know ain't gonna start it today. Now then, we've had another damn death. I'll try to keep it appropriate here. In the Oklahoma County House of Horror, under the new management of a new CEO. And the pattern continues as if it never had stopped in the first place, which it hadn't. You county commissioners are responsible for the county offices, buildings, and county businesses in this area. In 3 districts, by the way. That's why we have 3 of you up here. You're responsible for the fiscal management as well. So anytime there's a problem in any one of your county buildings, you have a responsibility of your own to investigate and to make decisions to correct a wrong that's a problem to everyone. There's nowhere in the world, sir, Mr. Monahan, are there so many people dying in any agency, whether state, federal, or county? Almost every day? Every week? No. And if there's a problem, which we know there are many in the Oklahoma House of Horror, we know that there are agencies. Again, I just talked about Turnkey with them no good suckers, and they don't know about it. Ask them that till I talk about it. In their faces, behind their back of their message. Now, thank you, so I'm getting ready to close. Sir, these deaths need to be investigated from your agency. Sure, I know y'all created the board that runs that facility. I mean, that private board there, man, I don't know if they know they're behind from a hole in the ground. It doesn't appear to me, and it doesn't seem like they care. So I want to say this here, sir. We need this county here. The county jail belongs to you people. When I say you, because y'all managing it. You need to, although you put it in the hands of someone else, county office buildings are controlled by y'all, even though you appoint someone else. You have the responsibility under the Oklahoma Constitution, which created you, to be able to run the county affairs. So whoever you appoint, they are simply agents of yours. So we need that county jail inspected, sir, from this agency here, this administrative body here. That's why people come to you about let's road, let's bridges, let's do the streets, let's do painting on the wall, let's put some money over here for that. Same thing the county jail. Didn't y'all just pass a bond for money to be created in a new jail? Yes, we did. That being the case, if you did not have authority to create a jail, watch this here, to pass a bond and put a vote out. So that means that the money that's going has to be spent the way you said then, right? So in regards to who you hire, and if they don't act right, then that money should not be given to them to be done with anything. And let me be over it. Let me do it. I guarantee you, if Michael Washington, Michael has a love, don't have a hatred for anyone. Any one of you out here. Michael doesn't have a hatred for anyone. White, black, pink, purple, orange, gray, or green. If you're a human being here, I'll come. Hasta la vista, baby. Thank you very much. Because I will always be back.
Vice Presiding Judge Ogden.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for accommodating me a little bit early on the agenda. I'm here to speak with regard to one of the proposals with regard to closure of the facilities. That is item, I believe, 43. And so one thing that I appreciate everyone's perspective on it. I do. One thing that I think, have to take into consideration is that according to a statute that's Title 20, Section 23, it gives the Supreme Court delegates to the presiding judge of any administrative district when and the times and places of holding court. So while I appreciate that emergency management needs to have their input in terms of decisions of closure, I do believe, however, that it should be the policymakers, the elected officials, to have that final say. The public will turn to us, turn to you all, turn to whoever the presiding may be, to answer those questions. And many times there are so many considerations. For example, if we have a jury Monday, if we have other things that are going on in terms of just the court, that only the presiding judge generally would know, or the vice presiding would know, the nature and extent of those things. Certainly, I think that emergency management should have their input, but I do believe that it should be, the final authority should rest with the commissioners and the chairman of the commission in collaboration with the presiding judge, so that we know that everything's being taken into account, and certainly want to have input from a number of people. But I appreciate it very much, and thank you very much for accommodating my schedule this morning. And any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Can we just say, maybe on the record, what our process has been thus
Certainly.
far?
Certainly, I think as long as I can recall, it has always been a circumstance where the chairman of the commission would then reach out to the presiding judge to make that final determination. Many times up to that point, then of course, emergency management has given their input, other people, the court clerk, but ultimately, because you're dealing with a circumstance of the county commissioners, the county owns the facility, and many of the things that go on in this building, of course, are within the purview of the commissioners or other elected officials. But most of what's going on in the courthouse is within the purview of the courts. And so that's why I think that ultimately it has always been a collaborative effort in terms of making the ultimate decision on whether to delay opening or closing the courthouse. And also, I think that it's just it's worked out well in the past, and I think that that's a good way to continue forward.
I don't know the answer to this. Do we have that policy in writing, or is that just how we've always operated?
I don't believe it's in writing.
Okay.
I believe it's just the way that we've always operated, and it's primarily a function, I think, of just the existing statute that grants to the presiding judge when to hold court in times and places, and of course, then to the county commissioners who own the building and the county who owns the building. And so as a result, it's just kind of the natural way I think that things have happened over the many years.
So what are the effects when the commissioners close the county? What are the effects on you?
So, for example, if it's a jury Monday, then there's a greater effect because we have a number of moving pieces, not only in this building, but also a lot of the public that would be serving as jurors. On other days, we have, we have 39 judges. That's 39 courtrooms, dockets, things of that nature. So I think that just, the presiding judge knows more about, the various dockets that might be going on and whether or not it's balancing everything, balancing the closure and the safety of those who would be coming to the courthouse versus keeping the facilities open and running. So I think that that's why I think those balancing efforts of public safety versus keeping the building open should be made by the policymakers with the input of emergency management.
So with those dockets, closing the courthouse, what happens to the dockets?
Well, then what you have is you would have a number of attorneys that would be coming, intending to be in the building. You would have a large number of the public intending to be in the building. So the dockets just would not go forward.
So they'd just be rescheduled? The same way that like when we defer cases?
In many cases, it would be rescheduled, yes. In
Okay.
some cases, then, if it's a jury term, then it just delays the trial.
Right, so that's the importance of having a single point of contact with the emergency management director. You can give your input, the presiding can give their input, Renee can give her input into this individual and let them know what the actual court, what's going on with the courts versus as a single commissioner. Now, it'll still be the commissioner's call. But the intent of what I'm trying to do here is for the emergency management director to act the same way that they do with the state. And that is to go in front of the governor and say, it is my recommendation that you close. After conferring with all stakeholders, which it says in there, and that would be yourself or Judge Andrews or anybody else, after they confer with everybody, and then the governor takes that recommendation. That's the issue that we have now. Because a closure isn't just about the courts. A closure isn't just about this building. A closure is about all the people that work in this building. And when the schools are closed and when everything else is closed, we all have to juggle. Now, I have a child, and I had to juggle that deal at home. Now, I'm very fortunate that my wife works from home most of the time. A lot of the county employees and a lot of the people that we have do not have that luxury. And those are people, even judges have those issues. There were many judges when we were working that were asking, why are we open? I've had those discussions, and I understand the courts and their need to operate and so on and so forth. And I also understand that it should be the elected officials' call. But I think that one person needs to make that recommendation and needs to make all of those phone calls and confer with everybody else and then come to whomever, the BOCC, the chairman, whatever. But that person is the one that needs to make the call. He already puts it out to the press. He puts it out across the email. He puts it out across everything. The only difference is he'll do it after make the recommendation to the chairman, and the chairman saying, yeah, go ahead. And that's essentially the way it's worked for the past 13 years that I've been here. They call the chairman, and the chairman says, yes or no.
Well, it's my understanding, Commissioner, is that, it is a chairman of the commission that usually makes those announcements, and is the chairman of the commission is the point person along with the presiding to make that decision. And I just don't think there's a good reason to change it. I think
that was, you absolutely made that point. So when my crews reported at 3:00, and I talked to them at 3:00, and they're telling me how difficult it is to get in. And these are professionals, and they're having difficulty getting in. And then at 4:00, I started getting phone calls from emergency management. Can't get a hold of anybody. That's why it's important for that one person, that emergency management director, that it is their job for emergency situations to be able to make that call. That one point of interest. It's no different than when you report to a fire and you got a fire, there's one incident commander. The tornadoes happen, one incident commander. There's a reason that that single point is needed.
Well, I mean, obviously there's, various points of view, and I want to respect everyone's points of view, but I just think that in this instance, we're dealing with a circumstance that we have to take into consideration multiple things, multiple factors. One of them, which is the statute, which I mentioned. That's why necessarily I think the presiding must be a part of that decision.
This also took place with another incident that we had, that we thought that we had an active shooter, and the chairman was in New York City at the time. The emergency management director at that point should have been able to close this building down, shelter everybody, because the delay in information that was happening was enormous. This would also cover that. This one instance, this one resolution would shut that down as well. That's why, we have got to, this isn't just about snow and ice. This is about every other thing that we can not perceive or not foresee. And we've got to make it a one-person job. It's not any different than the way the state or any other agency across this city or state does.
Well, I think that, the concern that I have here is that it does vest the decision with emergency management. And so it's not a circumstance where, for example, emergency management would be giving a recommendation to the governor and the governor ultimately making the decision. This is vesting the ultimate decision with emergency management. And speaking to the circumstance that occurred, I think it was December 16th, I want to tell you that there was a follow-up meeting with that where Chairman Mon, along with other stakeholders, including emergency management, was there. And so I think that those issues with regards to communication are now being worked out in a collaborative effort with the Sheriff's Department, emergency management, and having a call protocol in terms of keeping people informed. So I think that is being addressed. I'm not saying that there wasn't a problem there. In fact, I do believe that there was a communications problem, but that is being addressed. I personally, think that emergency management does a great job. And in terms of the decision on the closure last Thursday from until noon, I'm not disagreeing with that decision. I'm just saying that decision should rest with the chairman of the commission or the commission who would be acting on, and with the presiding. That ultimate decision should rest in those hands.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor, for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
Michael Winters.
Happy Monday, Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you about the SHINE program. One of the things I want to say is there's a new movie on Netflix, and it's called True Spirit. And I don't think the Commissioners really maybe understand the true spirit of Brian Mon and the work that has gone into the SHINE program. So I'm from Los Angeles, 36 years, been here 23 months. And I've seen a lot of deferment programs that work excellent and some that don't work so excellent. And it's an order of magnitude in Los Angeles. But I will say that SHINE program is very distinct and very unique. And just to tell you that there's two parts of SHINE, and that's in the van and in front of the tents. And Brian has been in the vans and in front of the tents, even as of Saturday evening. So this is not something that is done from a desk. It's not something done by the chair of the commission. It's done by a man who listened to one of his staff members, thought the idea was a great idea, and powered through to really do something unique and distinct in Oklahoma and Oklahoma County, and even possibly the nation. So I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about this agenda item that's here. It is the bare bones in physiology of what SHINE is. I hope in the transition that this does not come a function of the court system, but a feature of the court system. That it is not run or operated as a check the box, push somebody into deferment, get their hours in, and move them on. Recidification is an important issue nationwide. And the Public Defender's Office has supported Shine tremendously because it is a tool in the tool chest of restorative justice. And if you look at the way that this is put together, it is truly a restorative justice program. So I want to, existing is a source of suffering and trauma, accompanied by feelings of being useless, worthless, unappreciated, and unloved. The inability to be of special value to other persons quickly causes individuals to lose their grip on life. That's who we work with. On the court side, we work with people in the van who live in that realm of those descriptive terms. One thing we do now, because of the work that Brian has done with the judges and the Public Defender's Office, is we ask their story. So one of the things that I want to be able to say is that I hope you guys will take into consideration personally riding along in the Shine and keeping in mind that we have an opportunity at the tents not only to clean them up, but to work restoratively with those individuals as well. All right? Thank you.
For the record, I didn't know he was coming. He came here on his day off, so that I didn't pay him to say those nice things.
Any questions about Shine? Because I've run it for a few months with pretty exciting stuff.
Thank you. All right, is there any other citizens to be heard? I know there's a lot of people here for various agenda items. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent docket short of any individual consideration?
I do think there's an item for transferring items from Shine to the county, and we haven't voted on that item yet.
So you want to put
probably
this to the
best-
heel of the docket?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then you have guest here for item 34.
Yes. Mr. Coleman, let me pull up your item.
I think on virtually every item today, there's somebody here, so I apologize we're just kind of going to go in order since there's a guest here for everything.
Sure.
Mr.
certainly.
Coleman, item 34.
Thank you. Just a real quick recap. There was a CPACE assessment contract approved in December of 2022 for 621 West Main, and for approximately $830,000. The lender has requested that we amend Section 6A in the assessment contract to shorten the prepayment premium time periods, which will allow this to be paid off more rapidly. And I would recommend that this amendment to the CPACE contract be approved.
Can you remind me what this development is?
This is going to be for office and retail. It's at the northeast corner of West Main and Lee. It's a red brick building with a really nice facade.
Is there a motion?
I'll move approval on item 34.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you again
Thank
for all
you.
the work you're doing on this. It's been a tremendous success so far. Okay. Mr. Cunningham, would you care to say anything about item 35 or the treasurer? This is a big moment.
Thank you. We've got Jared Davidson here also with Bond Counsel.
Oh, yes, Mr. Davidson.
What you have in front of you this morning is a resolution to authorize the first issuance of $45 million in general obligation limited tax bonds through the authority granted in the election last June, $260 million of bonds. So this will authorize the sale of those bonds on March 6th, and we are on our way to achieving that objective. And that's what the purpose of this resolution is this morning.
And it's better rates.
Yes, since the election, we've been tracking rates, informing, keeping the county updated on economic conditions. And the last week, and actually since really November, we've seen the municipal bond yield curve improving significantly. And this first offering we're recommending a 10-year final maturity, which will allow us right now to really be pricing these bonds at the lowest part of the yield curve. And so we're real excited about that. We've got a few weeks to go, and we're hoping that that particular item remains as it is now.
Well,
One thing real quick, Commissioners. In putting together all of this information and all that then subsequently was presented to the people who subsequently approved the 260 million, the anticipated rate that was used in there was 4.5%. And by design, it was done that, even though we were certainly, Craig was very hopeful it would come in less than that, and it has. So the cost based upon the interest rate is going to be a little less than what we had taken to the voters.
it's tremendous news, and this is a huge, huge step. I'd say the first step was getting the voters to approve it, which we're to say grateful is an understatement. So our eternal thanks to the voters for giving us this opportunity. But this is second step, and it's a big leap, and it's going to start the process of helping us fix this 30-year problem. And I want to publicly thank Mr. Cunningham, who has done diligent work. He's been so great to work with and communicate. He's answered every question I've had proactively most of the time, including this weekend, working to send me an email to advise me about this rate, which is really thankful. And his associate, Rick Smith, who partnered with him on this, also just retired, but helped get this to this point. And my thanks to both you gentlemen and Mr. Davidson, as always, for being here for many hats, and for the record, not related to this commissioner, but has been no stranger to us and help the professionalism of this entire team. I just want to salute and thank you, because this was not an easy process. It's not easy for the press to understand. They've had a lot of questions, and your patience to help answer that so that the stories are reported correctly. Just everything. Thank you.
You mentioned Rick and Amanda. Of course, Rick especially was really heads up on this and really helping with the local communities, which was his strength. Now, he subsequently has sold his business, and I'd have to say John, Jon, I'd have to say that John is just absolutely top drawer. He is the one that has purchased the business, has a lot of years of experience in this, as well as being the local guru as far as working with many of our entities in Oklahoma County.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd also like to recognize John and his work as well, because after Rick stepped down at the end of the year and started taking cruises all over the world, John's been there doing all the work. So thank you, John.
Any other comments? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve item 35.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And for the public, we expect these dollars to arrive in a couple of months, and then the bid process to solicit for interested property owners to come and offer their parcels is something for us to consider. Should come in due about the same time, so that we actually might have the money about the same time that we have the options before us to consider where we would actually locate this new facility, because I know that's everyone's question. Where is it going to be? So I think both fuses have been lit so that they should come together and boom about the same time. So thank you very much for helping us with coordination on that. Okay, item 36 came to us because I was alerted that we need to name new designees for the ACOG committees after the change of the election. The board's pleasure.
I have served on ACOG, I think, since I was elected in 2019. I currently serve as the vice chair of the 911 board. Commissioner Cleveland from Cleveland County is the chair, and I believe I will take over as chair if I continue serving next year. And I would be happy to continue serving if that's all right with you all.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great with me. Thanks for your service.
I'll make the motion to appoint Commissioner Kerry Bloomer.
I think if you want to do it in one motion, we name first, second, and third for
Alternate.
alternates.
Be careful. You want me to make this motion, you'll be.
I'll add while you're thinking about that, regarding 911, the 911 board has been working on what's called Next Gen 911 for quite a while, for years. Next Gen 911 will allow you to text 911. It will allow you to send pictures and videos. It will help 911 operators locate where you are much more closely. And we have been working on this for a while, and we're about to hopefully launch it this year. A lot of the 911 operators are in training, so that is an exciting thing that's coming. So just wanted to add that.
I'll make the motion to make Carrie Bloomer our appointee, myself as second, and Commissioner Mon as third.
I'll second that motion.
Very
I
gracious.
know you love that. I know
Thank you.
love that.
Okay. You seconded? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you both for your service and perfect attendance. Right?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, and contract services for Collins, Zorn, and Wagner. This is in the case for Shaw versus Brewer.
Motion to approve.
Did you want a second?
Oh, second.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Washington, you care to speak to this item?
What, you got to show that back up again. I ain't gonna take long. This wicked, no good, legal service. I'm not gonna call them out their name, but I said the law firm itself is a flagrant, reckless disregard for the citizens who are being deprived of their constitutional and civil rights by a city, state, and other officials. Now, we know that the county has a right to select lawyers for these deliberately flagrant officers and agents who violate the law, of the same citizens who pay their taxes every year. Just like that same law firm is going up against several lawsuits that I have filed and love filing. Okay? So in other words, we'll let our officials violate the law aggressively when they get ready, how they want to, but at the same time, we're going to appoint somebody to represent them. Really? It should not be an immediate automatic representation. It should come on the balance of an investigation first, and if we find that you've done something wrong, you get no representation, but you get your own. Now, why? What will this do? It will cause deliberately negligent or reckless officers or whomever to think twice before willingly violating the constitutional civil rights of the citizens who they admire initially and in hopes that they're going to protect any right to a citizen that they may have as a privilege to put on the badge, the gun, the weapon, or whatever the case is. Right? And if the roles were reversed, Michael Washington, once again, I hate no one. Let's everybody think no one can say down in his mind that I hate anybody. Okay? But I do hate a deliberate, reckless individual, not the person, but the individual per se, his ideas and accommodations when it comes to a conglomerate group of large people. My group, change your world and your world will change around you. No! This legal firm, they should not be allowed to spend county money because they are a law firm. No! You know how much money that's less out of our pockets that we can use with to do roads and tables and chairs or whatever the case is? Let them get their own representations and clients. These people here being hired by these companies, by y'all, should not be allowed to go down. They are stealing our monies. They made contracts with you to hire. Let me say it quickly. I got 47 seconds. Let's, number one, investigate the conduct, behavior, and actions of the employee first. Let's determine after the investigation if we feel it may go forward. But now if we just automatically, let's give representation, well, we also know, too, that that's not going to happen. But I must, in and of itself, put my strong, righteous indignation in this moment. Jingle and jangle, dance here. Let me say, this law firm needs to get their own business And there may be co-collaborators in this stuff here too. Now, I'm not going to go that far because I might get sued myself, so I don't like giving up. But let me go. Thank y'all so much. And no.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, this is an application on item 38 for District 2 to apply for a CED grant for a truck bed and maintenance, so to extend the life of a vehicle that we have in our fleet. If there are no questions, I'll move the item.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item 39, as was mentioned, has got some other trickle items in the consent. We created Shine in April, will be 13 years ago, and as was referenced, Miles Davidson was an employee at the time with District 2 that helped me formulate it, and later came Safari McDoulet to help with another extension to the program. All the way up through till Charles has been heading that up, and Brandy has been working on all the budget stuff, and Erin went out and helped with all the stuff when she was with us before going to engineering, and then Amy went out and promoted it some more, and numerous employees over the years have helped make this possible through District 2, and I just want to say thank you right now to each one of you who've done that for 13 years. It was an agreement at the time with the two commissioners that I served with that they'd allow us to do it subject to District 2 administering the program and doing so for the whole county. But it was always the goal for this to go to a standalone operation separate from under the umbrella of just one district. But that has proven to be a pretty big challenge because of all the logistics that had to be figured out. So I want to say thank you to Grant Billingsley, who had an open mind and has been patient as we've gone through numerous briefings and debriefings to figure out all the anticipated potential problems. And it is with that comfort level that he says he was ready for me to place this item on the agenda for your consideration. And in conjunction with having talked with Aaron Etherington multiple times in the DA's office. And so, as most people know, court services, but not a lot of people know that under that division is also community service. And they're really the ones who interface with this anyway. And I think that it actually is going to create efficiency because it's been a little hard for the left hand to know what the right hand's doing with the way it's made up now, mostly in terms of they're sentenced, but they're not necessarily known to when they don't show up or complete their hours. And I think they'll allow some follow through so that the judges can know with more confidence exactly where their participants are through the process. And then also, I want to say thank you to the sheriff's office, who is entertaining at least being willing to take over the maintenance of that, and to Erin, who's now in the engineering's office, who said she'd be willing to be the requisitioning officer because you have to have a receiving and a requisitioning. But those are for future consideration. As it would stand right now, this motion would be to take and move this under community service in the court services division, and then the equipment would transfer over there also. It would really run mostly just exactly like it runs now, except that Nicole in community service would be their immediate supervisor and clear their time off or do their payroll and timesheets. And then for now, I am willing to continue to do the maintenance, as I believe each of your maintenance crews do some of the BOCC departments now, or at least they go back and forth. And I think because we're so far out that we get the least amount of that because of its proximity to the courthouse. So it's okay for our crew to continue, plus they have the history of this equipment, and then they just bill back to the program just like they do now for whatever cost is involved. However, my goal is to see if it could go to the sheriff's office maintenance fleet out there at their substation on July 1, and then for keeping this fiscal year intact, Brandy's agreed to go ahead and continue to be requisitioning through July 1 also, so that it's nice and tidy for audit purposes, but with the goal being that July 1st, it too would switch over to Aaron in engineering, who believes, and Stacy believes that she has the additional capacity in her time throughout the day. It's not a whole lot. And then the receiving officer actually is an employee, Erica Krishner, who will transfer to community service from District 2 that is paid for out of the Shine account. That was an attempt at a thumbnail sketch, but I'm sure there's questions. Can be happy to answer.
I know before I was even sworn in 4 years ago, you let me know that you ultimately wanted Shine to become a county department so that it could live on after you. And I think that's, I think we all agree that that's where it needs to go to keep it moving. And I know you all have done some really good work in the community. So I certainly support moving it over to court services. Do think it would be nice to be able to ask some more questions and maybe work through some more stuff, maybe have P&G look at it one of their meetings, but maybe let Grant work. Grant, are you here? There you go. Let Grant ask some additional questions, but I certainly support moving this over to court services and making it a permanent county program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as we've talked from the very beginning about this program, it was for us to get it up, get it running, and then eventually hand it off.
That was slower than I thought.
Yeah, much slower. Of course, for a while we.
It's just like kindergarten through 12th grade. Now it's time for college.
Yeah. Why do I feel like we've been stuck in junior college for the past 6 years?
Little pandemic in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably, there are some, you started to hint. So Eric, one of the positions is moving to Grant's payroll. Okay.
Because she has switched from crew chief, which you last knew her, to being the receiving officer, because the billing for this is pretty entailed with the grants that we get, and so you have to put in certain billing codes. So we wanted to train that, didn't want to saddle that with community service, having to take that learning curve on. And with her familiarity of having formerly run the program, she really was up to speed pretty quick on the data entry, because I should have also said thank you to Carla, who's been formally doing that on the District 2 staff, but now Erica has already been trained by Carla, and then she would go over so that the whole thing would just go over intact.
Does this need to happen right now? Can we kick this to P&G and ask a couple more questions? I don't want to bog you down here, and there are probably questions that would bog us down, and I don't want to. Can we just kick this to P&G for, what is it? When's the next meeting? Cody, Joe, Tuesday? Okay. So we can bring it.
A week for tomorrow.
So we can bring it back pretty quick.
Well, obviously, it's what both of you want to do, and that constitutes a majority. So it's your pleasure, as always. But my concern is I just don't want folks who haven't had much to do with it to have a whole lot of I just hope they really ask before making substantive changes, because there's a lot of moving parts to why things are the way they are, and keeping it running, unless somebody has a problem with the way it runs, and certainly that could be entertained, but a lot of things aren't, because that's what we want to do. It's what the auditor says. It's what the DA says. It's what the city contracts require for, and stuff like that. So it's been vetted out in many, many, many different forums, and we're just kind of a collage of all of those. So
my main issue is more about the transfer and making sure that there aren't things that, just because I remember the very beginning and all the hiccups and hurdles and stuff, I just want to make sure that there's not any that we're missing. And it would have been something that I would have loved to have had the ability to consult with numerous people all at once in order to get up and running, instead of being threatened to be thrown in orange jumpsuits and stuff, as we were numerous times.
Okay, well, is it your motion?
So on item 39, I'll move that we ask the P&G committee to kind of vet this one more time with the intention that it will come back to the commissioners soon after for us to take a final vote on.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item 40 is regarding the signing of county's plaintiff fact sheet.
Motion to approve.
These are probably going to come in multiple installments, but I wanted to put on here that the board gives me authority to sign.
Is Matt here? Someone here to speak on it? Matt? Mr. Sill?
I don't know of anyone
That's
coming to do it. There's, this is those vaping
Yeah.
deals. There's maybe not even a need for this, but this is in the abundance of caution for transparency. These are going to be automatics that keep coming.
I'll move approval on item 40.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
District 3.
Mr. Buck, thanks for being so patient back there. Item number 41 is the discussion possible action to appoint Stephen Buck to our jail trust. He is a former director of juvenile affairs, and I will let him tell you his vast experience that he has bringing to the trust, which is going to be very vast.
Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioner Davidson, thank you for putting my name forward. I'm honored to stand before you and to consider this item that you have in front of you. I have served for many years in state government, about a decade with the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services as Deputy Commissioner, 4 years with the Office of Juvenile Affairs as the Executive Director. I retired from the state about 3 years ago, right in the middle of COVID, and have now served my time working for a trade association, but also involved in various community aspects. My career experience points to some of the many challenges that face Oklahoma County as we wrestle with the detainees that we serve and how to consider criminal justice policy that might make sure that only those who are served are the ones that need to be there and help identify other pathways. In my experience at OJA, I was part of building a new campus for juvenile justice, a state-of-the-art campus in Tecumseh, so I'm familiar with current design in correctional models. So I stand before you and happy to answer any questions and appreciate your consideration.
I will happily move this item.
I just want to thank you for being willing to serve on this trust. It's not an easy job. It's not a paid job. And I think your experience is perfect for this, so I'm happy that you're willing to help us.
Okay.
A second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Washington.
Mr. Stephen Buck, I have no personal problem with you, sir, because I don't know you. You appear on the surface to be a great man, and which is one of the requirements that I have for serving on this board. But you are coming into a situation that is no play toy. We have a board, a Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority board, who have a tendency to fly by night type of take of a circumstance with the county jail here. Now, I have no problem with you coming on, but sir, you have to come on not being buddies or friends with someone, and you must have an independent opinion that's going to be necessitated to make sure that this subcommittee works as far as the Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority is concerned. Now, sir, I think you may do a great job. I cannot prejudge anyone because my God will not allow me to. But there again, let me say, if I find for some reason that you're not fitting the bill, I'm going to question you. No personal thing intended. I'm not just picking on you. They'll all tell you I do all of them this way. Okay? Because I expect you to do me this way because citizens are dependent upon you to do the right thing, that they are protected in the house of horror. Right now, it's been a terrible, bad thing that's going on. Now, back to the commission. I believe this man should be given an opportunity, as any human being should be given an opportunity for advancing or better their own lives, as well as the lives of others, maybe second, however you want to put it, first or third. But I'm saying to you, I don't know how many other seats are open, but I'd like to sit on this board as well. And we're going to know definitely that we're going to get that thing right. I bet you know that. You put Michael Washington, who is my, matter of fact, Kerry, I need to be putting on, I need to sit on this commission as well, on this Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority. Let me stop. But anyhow, in all seriousness, sir, again, I don't know you, and I hope I haven't disrespected you anyhow, because that's not my intent. But I just, again, let you know, I'm very active, a political activist, and I've been on this thing for 2 years straight in front of Oklahoma County House of Horror, demonstrating. Not 1 month, 2 months, skip a month. 2 straight years. So again, so y'all may want to consider this man. I mean, this gentleman, I mean, maybe he'll do a great job. So again, thank y'all so much for this. Again, I don't mean to take much of your time. It's 10 o'clock. Michael must go because I have other matters to attend to. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.
Item 42.
Item 42 is discussion possible action to name Mr. Brett Town, the former superintendent of schools in Edmond, to one of the most thankless jobs we have at Oklahoma County, the Equalization Board. And I will make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Town, for his service. Item 43.
Item 43, we've heard a lot about already. It's simply to allow the emergency management director to make that event, make a call in an event to close the courthouse. Liability wise, I think is probably one of the smarter things that we could do. It's going to be very difficult for us in a court of law that if he ever recommends that we don't, or that we do close and we don't, when we have professional meteorologists and professional emergency management directors such as Mr. Barnes, as respected as he is in this field across the state and has been an expert witness in other things, I think it's smart that we do this. I think it's the best call. He's still going to confer with each elected official. He will be the single point. We can all offer our input, but we also should rely on him and his expertise. I mean, it's so different than us relying on our road superintendents and their expertise in building the roads and bridges that we do, and relying on Stacy. So if you got any questions, I'm more than happy to attempt to answer them. If you want to do anything else, just let me know.
Well, so your resolution doesn't make it where it's a recommendation and then some elected official makes the decision. You're wanting to invest the authority of that into Mr. Barnes.
Yes. Yeah, every elected official will have their recommendation to Mr. Barnes after they receive it. So he's going to, the way it's perceived, he'll call and say, my recommendation would be to shut down. Now, he's also going to be able to listen to you, and you say, well, I think we probably ought to push it back till noon, and let's hope that we get missed by this event, or maybe the sun comes out and cooks everything off. Luckily, we had that happen Thursday. We were able to move back to noon, and it cooked everything off. Now, the day before that, we pushed back till 10 o'clock, and for a late opening, we got very lucky, and the dry line pushed to the south about 20 or 30 miles, and the event completely missed us. But that event was scheduled to hit us right at 10 o'clock, in between 9:30, 10, 10:30. So we got very lucky on that one. And the day before, that one was interesting for a while, and I'm very thankful that everybody made it in, and nobody had any issues coming in. But this item would be,
So what you're basically saying is you haven't been agreeing with my calls.
no,
Well, let me
always
just
agree with
say,
your calls.
and I know that you do. On the whole, first off, with all due respect to Mr. Barnes, I didn't hear about the gunman situation from Mr. Barnes. I heard about it from the facilities maintenance director. So I don't know that that's no rain on Mr. Barnes. It's just that any one person at any one given time could possibly be out of pocket. Any one person can be. And that happened to be at the lunch hour. So there was a multitude of things, which I'll be happy to speak to about that. Number one, the sheriff's in charge of courthouse security. Number two, we had the district attorney personally, the elected district attorney, at the door and wanting to exercise some authority, which the sheriff was trying to find where that authority lie in terms of their reaction. So you got two people there that nobody's the boss of, so to speak. And then I was in New York, but I was on the phone constantly. Now, I should have called Judge Andrews sooner than I did, but we were also just trying to identify what the situation was. So I sat on the phone for 4 hours in New York City going through play-by-play basically about that situation. And it's not illegal for someone to carry a gun, open carry, and as this state turns out to be. So trying to find a threat and identifying something proactively and avoiding a Valverde where people didn't take action soon enough, there's a balance between that and the law. So everybody was involved. I don't think there was any delay. It was trying to find firm footing to take legal action on. Chief Gorley wound up infusing himself in the situation and did order the front door of this building closed, which there could be some legal discussion about whether or not he had the authority to do that. I was on the phone and I was present, and there was not firm footing that we believed we could shut this public building down and lock citizens in it against their will. They are not minors. This isn't a school situation trying to contain a situation, so it was deemed that at all times one of the entrances had to be open and closed. We had employees trying to return to work, and the suspect was, if you can even use the word suspect, but the person in question had disappeared. So there wasn't even a continual ongoing threat. So that's a whole legal case study in and of itself. As far as the other day, somehow my number on my private phone, and I believe Ms. Bloomer also carries two phones, you do as well. Mr. Barnes has both numbers, but he only attempted to call my private number. That is usually the number we speak on, but he didn't on there. And the second that my public number dinged, I heard it immediately and was responding. So in the past, he's called both numbers. Keith Monroe calls both numbers for that reason, so that there's an extra layer of insulation. So my apologies. I don't know how that ringer got turned off. It must have happened when I pulled it out of my jeans pocket the night before. But I think in 15 years, that's a rare example, and Mr. Barnes would agree, of where I was suddenly out of pocket. But also no attempt was made to contact my chief deputy, and I believe you were attempted to be called. It just happened to be one of those situations.
Yeah, I knew when I got called that it was low rung on the ladder.
But for all the inconvenience it created, I own my part of not having the ringer on my private number, because you're supposed to be available on, any number of things can happen. So my apologies for whatever confusion that created. But on that day, Community Sentencing Council meets once every 60 days. That was that day. Their bodies have to be considered. It's in their charter that their closure mirrors our closure. The pretrial date, which is the busiest day for the courthouse, was that day. They have an AM docket and a PM docket, so you cannot bump down. It just creates a complete deal. There was a Board of Adjustment meeting that afternoon, which was able to go ahead and be done, but it was a rescheduled thing, so private party there was trying to get stuff done. My point in listing all those things, and I could list many more, is that a lot of stuff happens. In the past, elected officials have used discretion about allowing essential staff only to be here and to do liberal leave. They have that option always. They can explore options now, post-COVID. We have a number of our employees armed with the ability to work from home. That's per their elected official's choice. But when we choose to close the building down, it starts the tab running on every employee that still has to come to work regardless of that situation, which usually includes a good number of our facilities maintenance crew, obviously our road crew, completely a number of the jail trust, sheriff, and juvenile. They're not an option to go home anyway. In terms of using the schools as a barometer anymore, after COVID especially, they're not closing class, they're going to online or virtual learning in many cases. And then second, they often now invoke a temperature deal. They didn't do that when I was growing up, but now they do. And so it's about a temperature at the bus stop. It could be a completely dry road, but then there is a potential that they're going to close because of the bus stops. And the hardships that it places on the employees, I appreciate, but it does for every employee of every business everywhere. And they have to figure it out. The other is that I think a number of our offices will, with implemented common sense, allow the kids to come if they're age appropriate and it's a safe environment for them to do so. I certainly know that both the county clerk and I have done that, and I know there were children in the clerk's office just the other day, much to Miss Hudson's grace, and allowing for that to bridge through, and I think everybody understands. So I have great concerns about removing this from an elected official's decision. I don't think it mirrors what happens at the state when the recommendation is made to the governor and then ultimately he takes that account. That's the same thing that we do in the courts whenever we have court services interview prospects for jail. It is not them who make the exit for the participant to get out of jail. It is the judge's ultimate decision, but we rely on staff. Up until this time, I think it's worked generally every time, and you're going to have a discretion about whether or not one person's opinion or another. But at closing all day the other day, when it was scheduled to be 40 degrees by noon and above freezing earlier than that, with given everything that was on the agenda and the tab that would run up for the taxpayers by having to create work comp time for all of our employees who do have to work, I don't think would have been a good call either. So there's my 2 bits.
Mr. Barnes, do you have anything you want to add? And while you're walking up here, for me, I just want to make sure that there's no confusion. I want there to be a set process that we follow, maybe even a set, and you might already have this, a set list of folks that you make calls to before you make your recommendation.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all that's been said from the commissioners and from the judge and the support that my office receives. I've been here over 17 years, and I've yet to have anything except support from the commissioners, and I appreciate that. The decisions that I make are based on my 45 years in public safety, and without fail and without compromise, regardless of what priorities we may see. And I certainly respect what goes on at the courthouse. I certainly respect the judicial issues. I respect the meetings that Commissioner Mon mentioned. But without fail, public safety has to be the priority. Inconvenience is a part of life. I certainly understand that. We all have that on a daily basis. So I think it should suffice to say that any decision and any recommendation that I would make out of my office is going to be based, first of all, and always on public safety. So I have a strong conviction that if it's unsafe for county employees to come to the office or to come to work, that it's also going to be a compromise of safety for the people who are involved in those other situations. Now, granted, those are not my priority situations, my priority meetings, my priority activities, but I am going to yield to public safety without fail. So I would just say that I certainly will pursue whatever route that you as a Board of Commissioners would like for me to pursue in this regard, and we will make the decisions accordingly. I think you're absolutely right, Commissioner Bloomer. A bit of a procedure, and keeping in mind, I work off of SOGs more than SOPs because guidance is often a more prudent method than a cast in stone procedure that sometimes needs to be adjusted. Granted, there are times for both, but guidance in this regard I think would be important. Touching base with the elected officials, in this case my supervisors being you, the 3 county commissioners, obtaining information from you, and there's a host of other sources of information that we utilize when we're making these determinations and these recommendations, and that will obviously continue. We're very blessed to have the best weather experts in the world right here in Central Oklahoma. And I've got a gentleman on staff who is a professionally trained meteorologist who has significant background and expertise in this. So we don't make the decisions lightly. And again, I would certainly yield to whatever direction that you as commissioners would like for me to take. But my priorities will always be in public safety.
And just as a point out for how mistakes can still be made no matter who's making
That's
it,
correct.
Emergency Management gave us an all clear on the gunman situation, which OKCPD had not done and David Prater had not agreed with. So it just happens with whoever it falls in the bailiwick. You're going to get some right and you're going to probably make some wrong. Doesn't matter who's making the decision. But in terms of answering how policy goes, it is standard procedure for me, at least, as chair. I always attempt to get a hold of the DA and the public defender. And we've, in cases where particularly it's a storm that's come in the night before and we're thinking about tomorrow, I've attempted to contact all 7 members of the budget board in regards to either the elected official or, in the case of the commissioners, your deputies, for input. These decisions at 4 to 6 in the morning are sometimes harder to get all that collective input. But when we've tried to make the decision about, do you want to take off another day? And in a case of one day, it was a decision to come in, which I know was bizarre, mostly to the staff in particular, for I think a 3 or 4 hour period when we had been off for a couple of days before coming. Another storm was anticipated to come, and based off of guidance, as you suggested, that it was likely going to be a closure for the next couple of days, and the courts begged for us to at least come in here for 3 days to allow the VPOs to occur and others who needed to file deeds and other important things that go on in the courthouse, because there was a little window of time. However, it seemed crazy to bring everybody in for just 3 hours, but it served another purpose. And it's with all that input from everybody that we balance these decisions. And I don't think anybody was disputing it was going to be above freezing a good part of the day on Thursday.
I believe these points further emphasize the issue of needing to have possibly different procedures for different situations. I know that bringing the entirety of this building in when there is a potential public safety risk, because we have obviously critically important activities going on in the courthouse, may not necessitate bringing all of the staff in, hundreds of people in this building. I understand the cost factors, Commissioner, that's certainly a consideration, but it does not supersede public safety.
What public safety was at danger with us going above freezing by 8:30 in the morning?
In that case, that's true.
Well, that was what every weather app was showing, David. I mean, that was the presiding judge's big argument that morning when I think both you and I got a phone call.
I got it too. I got the same phone call, but
I mean, you're not using the argument about public safety when it's going above freezing, certainly by a noon opening. You're now arguing about kids are at home and you're just wanting everybody to stay at home and babysit their kids, and because it's an inconvenience about that. But the public safety argument is out the door at that point. I mean, they were flying past me on Lake Hefner Parkway at over 80 miles an hour when I came down to the courthouse earlier than it opened that morning. It was completely free and clear. Was there any parts of your district that weren't free and clear by noon?
by noon,
I mean, I'm arguing for the
on
public
east-
safety
the
standpoint.
east side of the very far east side of the county, yeah, probably.
So
not.
for Luther.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of which I can name at least 3 employees right now that live out there. But I mean, it's
Shut
not,
the whole building down for 3 employees.
it's not the point of, so your tax dollar point, your comp time point.
I'm talking
Can
about
you-
his point about public safety.
Okay, we're going to address each one of them at a time. So your taxpayer point about wasting money. Since 2017, we've closed 23 times. That 8 hours times 23, how much comp time have we created? How much comp time have we actually paid out? Do we know the answer to that? It's very minimal, because what has to happen on that comp time is they either don't take it or they have to retire. And then that's when the debt's created, is when they retire. Otherwise, they're just taking vacation the same way that they always do. The courts deferring their courts for that day, how many cases are continuously deferred? They get deferrals for everything. We can't say that we're doing it for expediency of trials, because they don't do it expediently. We have them stacked up in the jail because deferrals. So one day of us closing their courts is not going to affect their dockets. They
How many
reschedule
days
it.
would it have been if we'd closed when every school has been closed?
It would have been 3 days.
No, since 2017.
Oh, since I don't.
Judge Ogden, I think you're wanting to say something.
Let me just address the issue with regard to deferrals. That deals with, in some cases, criminal matters. But with regard to, and don't want this to be lost, there's a statute, Title 20, Section 23, that rests the presiding judge with the determination of when and what time and places the courts will be held. It just can't be one decision when it comes to the court. That's why I think the process that has been in place for 17 years, as long as Commissioner Mon is mentioning, has worked. I will say that Judge Andrews did not get one call. So the process that we're talking about, in theory, that happened on Thursday, didn't play out at all that way. So what has to happen, I think, is the way that we've been doing it. I think it's been a good process. It's worked out well. And I just want to say that the example of the deferrals, meaning that it's just no big deal, that's not how the courts operate. There are a number of cases that are continued that are at the preliminary hearing stage. But on the civil side, on the VPO, on these other matters, it is critical. And public safety, with regard to VPOs, is critical. With regard to other matters, is critical. So I think it's a balancing effort that has to be made by the policymakers that are elected. Thank you.
I think what each and every person has expressed further makes the argument that we have to develop an SOP. SOPs inside the emergency management world, they're just standard. It's what happens if, and it's just a waterfall system. The NIMS training and everything else that we've probably all had, everything sets up for an SOP. We've had, it's worked. This Thursday shows us that there's a hole. The issue that we had in December shows us there's a hole. Let's not continue operating like there's not a hole and say, well, it's worked every other time except for when it was important and it didn't work. And then nobody wants to sit up here and say, well, if we would have created an SOP, if we would have created a system of what should happen if certain circumstances happen, I wish we would have taken that step. I wish we would have done something. If we would have, maybe this would have been prevented. This does not have to pass. This is on here for this exact purpose, and that is to discuss these issues that we have found the holes. Let's plug them.
Mr. Barnes, would it be helpful to you if this board maybe approved a set list of positions, the presiding judge, 3 commissioners, district attorney, a set list that we've all agreed on? Those folks need to be contacted before a decision is made.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that clarification would be
Okay.
extremely useful, as well as a secondary person to contact if in fact that first one.
Okay.
And then also address if those are not available, how long do we delay a decision? How long
Right.
do we hold off on whatever?
Okay. Butch, sounds like you agree with that.
I do. I sit here, unfortunately, as long as I can. And the unfortunate thing is, I probably shouldn't be talking. The biggest mistake that was made on the morning that we all got the text at 5:44 is that's too late. I've already got people on the road fighting their way in here. And with all due respect, Commissioner, we shouldn't have to have Christ and the 12 disciples involved in this. You've got a chairperson. That chairperson, along with whoever the judge is, because they too, statutorily, as we just heard, have responsibilities. Make them make the decision. That's what they're paid for. But to try to get all of us involved in it, I think that we're not going to be open before 10 o'clock because the decision's not going to be made before 10 o'clock. If you're going to make a decision, make it as soon as possible. Again, and not with all due respect to David, he and his people do a fine job. That's not who I voted for, though, to determine when we're going to come to work. So, personally, again, my criticism is 544 is really getting late, and I've already got them on the road.
All right, you've made a motion.
I haven't, but I will. I'll make a motion to send this to policy and governance so some SOPs can be established. Butch, to your point, what happens when he can't be when the chairman can't be gotten a hold of? What happens when the
You got a vice chair.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
when
you
they
got
can't get
a
hold of-
sequence.
When they can't get a hold of them, what is it?
Well,
It
then
would
we
be
need to
the other
elect
member
new
of the
commissioners
BOCC.
because
So the elected BOCC member
Maybe
made
you
the
could-
call to close the courthouse at 5:44. Now, those calls were made before that. They were trying to get a hold of that waterfall, and it took place. And then when I closed it, because I had been on the roads and I had talked to my staff and I had been out there, I made it with the information that I had avoided the ditch numerous times. I did not make it with the determination of it was going to heat up and by noon it would be clear.
I understand
I
that.
did
I'm
not
not
make
even
it.
arguing that, Commissioner. I understand that. But what I'm telling you is,
You want to be earlier.
I
Yeah.
definitely want to be earlier. And what I'm telling you is that we've got two people whose responsibility should be to make that decision on behalf of all of us. You don't need to call me. And incidentally, my employees, they're smart enough and they'll make their own decisions, be it because of children or be it because fear. You mentioned Luther. I've got a lot of people in Luther, and I've got a lot of them in eastern Oklahoma County. They're capable between their family. Their family. The husband gets involved in this because a lot of my employees are females. And that's all very important. But then I'll go back to what my point is. You got a chairperson, you got a vice chairperson. I don't know of a time where somebody has not, or where the commissioners have not taken the reins and saying, okay, we ain't coming in early this morning. Get with the judge, make the decision, and get it out. Don't involve all of us.
And a delayed opening was certainly prudent on Thursday. I'm not disputing that at all. It's just that the situation was going to change. And we've also had modified openings where we thought it would be fine by 10, and we decided it wasn't. And so we've sent out, no, it's going to be noon. So
One last thing. That in itself is the key. Bad weather's not new to Oklahoma.
Okay, P&G, would you all like to continue discussing this, or do you think we've killed this horse? Okay.
Smart answer.
So, okay, then did you make a motion to send it to P&G? Okay, I'll second that motion. I think we just need, for Mr. Barnes' sake, for the court's sake, for us, and Judge Ogden, come on up if you want to say something else. We just need a standard operating procedure, a list of folks that have to be contacted before a call is made, and it should be a succinct list.
I just want to say I have to agree 100% with the fact that this needs to be rested with the commissioner and then in consultation with the presiding judge. I mean, getting a whole group of people involved, I think, number one, I agree, delays it. But two is, with all due respect to Mr. Barnes, unless the presiding judge is consulted, I could issue an order as presiding, I want those courts opened. So you have to have that collaborative effort. The way it's worked in the past with the commissioner, chairman of the commissioner, the presiding judge, it's worked out well. I'm just strongly recommending against this. I think that we're trying to fix something that isn't broken. And this doesn't deal with the issue over what happened on December 16th. I will say what happened on December 16th is in process. Right now, there was a group of probably 10 or 15 people that met the following week. So far, I'm still waiting to hear what the call tree is from emergency management and the sheriff's department from Mr. Barnes. And at that point in time, the presiding didn't get a call from Mr. Barnes either. So right now, I think that, and again, I'm not trying to be critical, but I'm just saying that isn't the solution. The solution with regard to an emergency situation is let's let the process work that we now have in place. We met the week after December 16th. There are certain things that are going to take place, I believe, that are going to be helpful. But with regard to issues over courthouse closure, that's what this deals with. And I just think that, that the process that we have has been working.
Thank you, Judge.
Was that a second?
Yes.
Okay, so there's motion and second to refer this to P&G. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then I say no. Okay. Then item 44.
This is just a resolution to make the road funding equitable. District 3 now has 43% of the lane miles of Oklahoma County. And I would just like the distribution of funds to reflect that 43% because I will not be able to properly serve the taxpayers with the funds that we have currently. And I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution and answer any questions.
I'll let you, I don't have an opinion about this because it keeps my budget the same, so I don't have a strong opinion.
It's Commissioner Mun's budget is the one,
Yeah.
he's the one that gave up the lane miles and I recall in the redistricting, you were happy to give up more if anybody else wanted them. So
I did say, are you sure? Did you have this going into effect immediately?
It does not have an effective date. The sooner the better, because we're already taking care of those roads and bridges. So the sooner we could get the money, the sooner I could get it out there on the streets and start repairing some stuff. That's not saying that it's keeping us from repairing stuff. It's keeping us from repairing what we probably should be repairing because we don't have the funds to address the 43% of the roads.
And I'm not necessarily opposed to this. I know this was attempted years ago by a former commissioner when I was on staff. But the legality, I just want to be sure I'm voting on something that's legal.
So 76 other counties, and in consultation with ACO and the attorneys there, 76 other counties have some sort of policy like this that they memorialize. This one would actually need to be readjusted after redistricting. Some of them do it yearly to where they pass a resolution to where they say 33.3% is going to our district, or sometimes they do it according to the revenues that they're getting in. So this is the way that the most simple way that it's been done that ACO sent me. And I believe
I know there's
Logan
at least
County
one
is
county
where-
that doesn't have a road district, so they have to
Yeah.
divide up. But like in Cleveland County, where Commissioner Cleveland only has a handful
I
of
think
miles.
it's like 5 lane miles. Yeah.
What did they
Or
do?
6 lane miles. I'm not sure what Cleveland County does because he works pretty
Mostly.
extensively with Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Building those county roads.
Okay.
Maybe this is a question for the clerk's office or maybe the treasurer's office. Is it an issue if we change this in the middle of a fiscal year, or does it matter?
Because the funds on road funds come to us,
Monthly.
and they also come
They-
to us without something for three of you to decide.
Yeah.
where they're
Okay.
going to be
So statutorily, the treasurer holds the highway fund, of which all monies are actually deposited in. This being a policy, not a statutory, would be up to us if we adopted this.
Most important thing to remember, there is the treasurer.
Okay.
We're all aware of that.
I had checked with the DA. She said she had not looked at it. I just want to be sure. So is it okay with you if we look this up in 2 weeks and I just get a legal blessing?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
We'll is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the
I
District
did ask,
Attorney's
it was
Office?
too late on Friday, so
Oh, that's fine.
I just wanted legal coverage, not because I'm trying to
No, it's fine.
create any havoc.
They usually don't comment on policy, so I was just kind of.
I just want to make sure about it's being divided. That's the only question I have.
Yeah.
Okay, I will, you want me to do that? I'll move to defer it to the next regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Hudson, item 45.
45 is just, it's to continue our maintenance on mostly the website. And we currently have one that just increased the funds for it.
Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 46.
Item 46.
They've waited so long.
Yes. This is our resolution honoring Gail Doyle on her retirement. Whereas Gail Doyle officially retired on January the 26th, 2023, after a 37-year career with the Oklahoma County Clerk's Office and service to the citizens of Oklahoma County. And whereas Gail began her career in Oklahoma County Clerk's Office in September of 1985, where she spent the next 37 years serving 5 different Oklahoma County clerks. And whereas Gail has done an exceptional job serving Oklahoma County citizens with her outstanding customer service skills, she's worked hard at sharing her wealth of knowledge by training many new employees over the years so that they too can serve the county with dedication and integrity, just as Gail has. And whereas Gail has worked in many different departments during her time at Oklahoma County, she's dedicated her service to recording documents for the public, serving citizens who have questions, and a short time with clerks of the boards. And whereas Gail has worked with work ethic and integrity are unprecedented, she's earned the highest respect and appreciation from all of her coworkers and all of her county departments. She is known for being able to answer any question someone has regarding Land Records Division. And whereas Gail is much more than a coworker who loves her leopard accessories and hot pink nails. She's a mentor to many, a special part of a county family, and cherished friend to us. She will always had a graceful and willing nature to do anything she could for others. These qualities have never been disregarded, which is why she will be remembered so fondly, and her vibrant personality will be truly missed. And whereas Gail, we have enjoyed learning about her family life, getting to know her husband, Kenny, since they tied the knot in June 15, 2002, and have devoted to each other since. Upon Gail's retirement, she and Kenny will have much more time to ride their motorcycles, relax at Fort Cobb Lake, and spend quality time with their 5 children and their spouses, 17 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. It is with profound gratitude we wish Gail a retirement full of joyfulness, spending time with her family and friends, spoiling her grandchildren, and enjoying the peace she always desired once time allowed. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners of Oklahoma County does hereby recognize the significant contributions made by Gail and congratulate, thank her blessings for Oklahoma County and Oklahoma County Clerk's Office for 37 years.
Do I get to come up here and hug Gail? I'll let him get at least one picture without me.
Can you guys scoot that way? Can you guys scoot that way just a little bit? Yes, forward. Yes, okay. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Carrie, you said there's a reception in the clerk's office right now. Okay.
All right, is there a motion to approve this, or are we gonna keep her?
I'll move approval.
Objection, keeper. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Our sincere congratulations to your well-deserved retirement. Court clerk, Mr. Sullivan, are you speaking for this item?
Just a renewal.
Or Mr. Buchanan? Just a renewal?
This is item 47.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll move approval.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Stacy?
This is a division order for your oil royalties.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Planning Commission. Eric?
The first item is a final plat. Essentially just, it's two lots. The county changed its rules in regards to lot splits. And this falls within that criteria to where it has to be platted.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
50?
Yeah. This is a final plat as well. This gentleman, they have approximately 5 acres. They wanted to subdivide it into 3 lots. One of those lots is commercial in nature, the other 2 are residential.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this particular item came in front of the Planning Commission. It was along Portland, and Northwest 220th on the east side. It's approximately 8 acres that they're wanting to rezone to commercial for a restaurant. It's outside of the floodplain. A lot of the areas in the floodplain, it's just outside of that. So it's going to be one of those theme type of restaurants where they'll have the ability to kind of look out over the floodplain and use that as an aesthetic.
They're trying
Nice.
to create a destination. So, motion to approve.
This is D3. Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's like you said, Commissioner Bloomer, these are all in District
Yeah.
3, since you saddled me with that. Wonderful.
This particular item is a rezoning from R2 to a PUD. And this PUD, the property owner wanted to use an existing house as a business. The house itself was empty. So they're wanting to use that for essentially ability to do kind of like a doctor's office, if you will. They were going to have it set up to where people are going to have appointments to come in to discuss healthy living.
And the Planning Commission.
The Planning
Denied
Commission
this one.
denied it, yes.
So, and we have to, the same, correct? Motion to, or, I mean, we can approve as well, but I'll make the motion to deny.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is a rezoning to a PUD. This actually came in front of the Planning Commission twice. Initially, it was set up to where it was rezoned R1. The Planning Commission denied it. From my understanding, their denial at that particular time there was some concern that after it was approved, it would be sold off to someone else, and the ultimate plan would be something different than what was agreed upon by the adjacent property owners. In this case, they decided to come back as a PUD. The PUD essentially pigeonholes them into a particular design to where they can't really change that. So it's going to be a 70-lot subdivision out in District 3, and it was approved by the Planning Commission.
Motion to approve.
So that makes each lot around 2 acres?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. There's a blue line stream that kind of sits in the middle of the subdivision. We have a requirement in our zoning regulations. They have to be set back 50 feet from that stream in this particular instance. So a lot of that area is common area in this particular case for drainage as well. So there are, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a few lots that are about an acre, but I would say the majority of them are an acre and a quarter, acre and a half.
They spoke with Deer Creek Schools and water and so on and so forth, so.
Okay, good. And Deer Creek Schools was fine with it?
Yes, like I said, in the PUD, they came back with the PUD was written by the developer, but there was a lot of input from adjacent property owners, the school, so everybody was on the same page at the end of the day. I don't know what the exact agreement was between the school and them, but like I said, there wasn't really much change from the initial, when they did R1 initially to this. I think it was just going along, make sure the order of development was slow enough to meet the school's expectations, but also having access to water was a big deal with the adjacent property owners instead of having well water and potentially affecting their wells.
Okay. Did you motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Eric. Chantel?
Hey,
54.
I thought that's what we voted on.
53.
Okay.
But. Yeah, 50, go ahead.
Are we sure? Because my 54 was highlighted.
53.
Okay.
Yeah.
147 acres.
All right, go with 54. We'll do it. So this goes back to the final plat that goes along with the Deer Creek Day Ranch. Essentially, they're doing a correction to the zoning. They essentially provided less area for the commercial operation that's there and took that land and turned it back to R2 to add to the residential lots to the south and east.
What is Deer Creek Day Ranch?
Essentially, the particular piece of property that was there that's commercial started out initially as a restaurant, and as time went on, became a daycare facility. So the property owner just refers to it as Deer Creek Day Ranch.
Okay.
That's what they call the plat.
And we approved the previous item, so.
Okay.
And what did planning commission do on this one?
They approved it. Like I said, it was just to clean up some zoning. It wasn't really to change
Motion
it.
to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry about that. Now purchasing.
As providing support to our grants administrator, she has a couple items regarding the raised grant for 2 different districts, and I'll have her speak to that. If you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer them.
Good morning. Today I'm presenting before the bodies a couple of grants that have come before me. The first one would be this is for the RAISE grant. I don't know if you guys know about this, but it's a federally funded grant through the Biden-Harris administration. And RAISE stands for Rebuilding America with Sustainability and Equity. And within the confines of this grant, we were able to find 2 parcels of road that would possibly work. One would be in District 1, and it's the city of Spencer. And what we will be doing is connecting a major highway on Midwest Boulevard from Northeast 36 to US Highway 62.
Is there a motion?
I will happily move approval. I think anything we can do to help the town of Spencer, their city leadership is doing a lot right now to invest in that community, so I'm happy to see this. I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Lastly, we'll be looking at a project in District 3 with the same funding, the RAISE grant. And with this, we'll be looking at a parcel of land in Luther, in the city of Luther. And we would be working to expand the width of the road with safety shoulders and constructing a 2-mile long Super 2 on Luther Road, expanding to the Turner Turnpike.
I will happily move this one.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for
Thank you,
that.
Nikki.
Sheriff's Office, Andrea. Or whoever.
Oh.
We have representation from Palomar if you have any questions, but this is just an MOU to put a deputy at Palomar.
And will they just be performing security on site, or tell us what they'll be doing?
Yeah, so we had one previously and then lost that due to funding. And so we've secured federal funding through the Improving Criminal Justice Response Grant for 48 months to have this come back. And so they help with VPOs. They help take law enforcement reports that fall outside of OCPD. So we have OCPD on site, but there are a lot of municipalities that we don't have on site. And then they would participate as part of the high-risk team as well.
Okay. Does this cover the full expense?
Yes, it does.
And just for folks who maybe don't know about Palomar, can you give a little brief description of what Palomar does?
Sure, I'm happy to. Palomar is Oklahoma City's Family Justice Center, so we serve victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, human trafficking, elder and child abuse under one roof by having both government agencies and nonprofit partners. We have 42 community partners, and the concept is that someone can come to Palomar and we will help them navigate those services rather than them going to every different location to receive those.
Nice. I think I'm glad you're bringing this partnership back because I know it worked very well previously, so I'm happy to support this. I'll move approval on item 57.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much
you.
for your work that you do. 58.
Yes, this is just an annual reporting for the federal asset forfeiture funds that we participate in at the Sheriff's Office. This is just an annual report that goes in.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Commissioners. What we have proposed and are asking you to sign on behalf of the county is a resolution honoring Kathy Allen on her retirement in 42 years of dedication and outstanding service to Oklahoma County. Whereas Kathy Allen will retire on February 17th, 2023, after a 42-year career with the Oklahoma County Treasurer's Office in service to the citizens of Oklahoma County. And whereas Kathy Allen began her employment with the Oklahoma County Treasurer's Office on April 17, 1980, and whereas Kathy Allen has served the Oklahoma County Treasurer's Office with various job titles from clerk, cashier, mortgage tax clerk, bookkeeping clerk, to her current position as supervisor of the bookkeeping department. And whereas Kathy Allen has faithfully served the two county treasurers during her service to Oklahoma County. And whereas Kathy Allen is not only respected as a co-worker, but as a wife, mother, and grandmother. And whereas Kathy Allen has served the Oklahoma County Treasurer's Office with integrity, dedication, and professional service throughout her 42-year career. And whereas Kathy Allen has served as a mentor for many employees, gaining their respect, friendship, and admiration. And now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Oklahoma County, in appreciation of her 42 years of dedicated service, does hereby recognize the significant contributions made by Kathy Allen and congratulate and thank her for her 42 years of service to Oklahoma County and the Oklahoma County Treasurer's Office. Approved this 6th day of February 2023.
And for clarity, this is item 60.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So is Miss Allen here?
She is not.
Okay.
Miss Allen is a very shy person.
All right.
So she is not here.
Okay.
She will be duly recognized upstairs in front of her coworkers as what is she really would like to have done.
Okay, well, before we approve that resolution, can we vote to make Megan the new requisitioning officer on item 59?
On mine, 59 is Megan Tejeda replaces Kathy Allen as requisitioning officer, and then item 60 is the actual resolution honoring Kathy. Okay.
Gotcha. Agree.
She
Okay.
didn't want to come. She didn't want to come down.
No.
Okay.
She's afraid of you all.
Okay. I will move approval on item 59, appointing Megan to replace Kathy Allen.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then is there a motion to approve the resolution?
And I think I made a mistake. Those 3 paper resolutions we signed earlier, was one of them for Kathy? I handed all of them to the clerk's office. Whoever was here from the clerk's office. I handed all of, okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. We all signed one for her.
Right,
So.
okay. And thank you very much. Incidentally, over the last 5 months, with the retirement of 2 employees, we have lost 82 years of experience, 2 people. However, I can say with a great deal of confidence and pride that we are replacing them with, you can't replace 40 and 42 years overnight. But we can hire people that we hope is going to be here for the next 40 and 42 years because they are absolutely top drawer employees. I can assure you on behalf of all of my employees, we will not miss a beat. Thank you.
Wonderful. I will move approval on item 60.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you, Butch.
Our best wishes to Miss Allen's retirement. Commissioner comments, District 1? Well, okay, if you want to go ahead and do that.
Do we need to pull out?
You're going to have to pull out all those items if you want
I
to go to
think-
P&G.
Okay. Let me make
On
sure.
that, though, we had already planned on moving her, and there's arrangements made. Would you guys be open to Erica being allowed to go ahead and take her desk at community service?
I don't have an issue.
I don't have an issue with that. In fact, it'd probably help. That's sort of, I was envisioning a transition type process, so it'd probably be beneficial for that.
Because I think like her stuff is packed today
Yeah.
because we
Oh,
were anticipating that it was going to to go. So
I would say
Is Eric? Are you Erica?
no,
Who's
she's not.
Erica?
She's
Oh,
at the
okay.
barn.
Okay. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think it's great.
And I think the item specifying shine equipment is 29. 29. So just in abundance of caution, I'll move approval of the, this is consent, right?
And I'm sorry, just to clarify, item 29 actually transfers the assets from District 2 to Shine. So Court Services is not in that aspect of it.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know if that changed your mind on that particular.
Oh, so maybe we don't need to pull it out.
Right, I mean, I was just clarifying.
Okay.
Court Services isn't part of it.
Okay.
We've really tried to anticipate everything, so we've just cleaned up all this stuff so that it's not even a question about it moving over as one whole unit.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Then I'll just go ahead and move approval of our consent docket.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do we need to vote on a reopening? You guys are just fine with Erica moving, right? That's not something we
Yeah,
need
I
to
don't think we need to vote on that.
Okay. All right. Commissioner comments? District
No
one.
comments.
3.
We talked.
All right. Any new business? Not, is there a motion to recess into executive session?
I'll move we recess.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Butch got his resolution. You ready, Sharon? All right, is there a motion to return to regular session?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 65. Is there a motion?
On item 65, I'll move we authorize local council to proceed as discussed in the 5th district.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
66.
Item 66 and 67, I don't know what our public motion needed to be, but I will be speaking with the presiding judge and the vice presiding judge about both of these items. We're not going to take official action
And
right
then
now.
Secondarily, should we receive a no?
Then
to
we'll come take action.
Authorize the DA to take action.
Yes.
Is that clear? And there's
Got that, Sharon?
So item 66, 67, I'll move we take no action.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
68.
And 68, I'll move we disclaim subject to any unpaid property taxes.
Give me time to get caught up. Are you ready? You tell me when.
Or do we want to vote on 68?
68. Aye.
I'm just making sure you got it. You got the motions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I wasn't sure. Any other citizens to be heard? Not seeing any. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is this one going to be old school too, or you think that it'll work this time? Are you going to the Capitol?
No. Oh, there we go. I'm in.
I'm in. Okay.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor? Let's get out
Of
of here.
adjournment. Second.
All right, I'll call it to order. All three trustees are present for the PBA that was properly posted on February 1st. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of January 17th?
Motion to approve.
Second.
buttons are working,
It's
too.
working.
Okay,
Yeah.
did somebody hit us? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the claims?
Motion to approve, please.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 3, District 3.
This is just to name my Chief Deputy Don Cash to the Oklahoma County Public Building Advisory Committee. I'll make the motion to approve.
It also says for Chelsea as alternate.
We'll
for-
strike that part.
Okay. Is that in your motion?
Yes.
You
Thank
understand?
you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
So you're approving Dawn with no alternate. Is
That's
that correct? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 4 is, these are contracts for parking.
Motion to approve 3 new contracts, 4 new contracts. Motion to approve contracts listed.
There you go.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 5 is to execute a lease for the ICB building with Landmark Construction.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I want to point out how much faster these meetings go when Keith's not here. Is there any citizens to be heard? Any board comments? If not, any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
See, no objection to the video.